Picture this. You step into the boxing ring 42 times. You walk out undefeated every single time. No draws, no losses, no controversy in the judges' scorecards, just dominance. That's Terrence "Bud" Crawford, a fighter from Omaha, Nebraska, who went from street fights and struggles to becoming the face of modern boxing. But what makes Crawford's story even crazier is not just the belts, not just the millions he's earned, it's the legacy he's chasing, the controversies surrounding his personal life, and the big question: what's next for one of the greatest boxers alive? Let's rewind. Crawford was born on September 28th, 1987, in Omaha. If you know anything about North Omaha, you know it's not the easiest place to grow up. Fighting wasn't just a sport there, it was survival. Crawford got introduced to boxing through his father, uncle, and grandfather, who were all amateurs. He was a kid who fell in love with a gym. But here's the thing: Bud also had a reputation on the streets. He was known for getting into fights outside the ring. And in fact, his early coach once said, "We had to keep Bud in the gym because if not, he'd be in trouble out there." That fire, that edge, it became the foundation of his career. Fast forward to March 2008, Crawford turns pro. He's young, hungry, fighting in small venues, grinding for respect. By 2014, he's already snatching belts. His first big one? The WBO lightweight title. When he went all the way to Scotland, beat Ricky Burns in front of a hostile crowd, and brought the belt back to Omaha. That win made everyone realize Bud was different. He didn't stop there. He moved up to junior welterweight, 140 pounds, and cleaned out the division. By 2017, Crawford was undisputed, holding all 4 belts, something that's insanely rare in boxing. But Bud's mentality was always, what's next? So he jumped up again, this time to welterweight, 147 pounds. In 2023, Crawford finally got the fight the whole boxing world wanted: Errol Spence Jr. This was supposed to be 50-50. Spence was undefeated, bigger, stronger, the so-called boogeyman of the division. But that night, it wasn't even close. Crawford dominated Spence from the opening bell, dropped him 3 times, and finished him with a TKO in round 9. That fight crowned Crawford as the undisputed welterweight champion and, arguably, the best pound-for-pound boxer alive. And let me tell you, Crawford didn't just win belts that night, he won millions. Reports say he walked away with around $25 million from the Spence fight alone. That payday instantly made him one of the richest active fighters. But you know Crawford, he wasn't satisfied. In 2024, he moved up again to junior middleweight, 154 pounds, where he beat Israel Madrimov. Critics were already saying, okay, he's cemented his legacy, maybe he should retire. But Bud had other plans. In 2025, he shocked the world by calling out Canelo Alvarez, the face of boxing, the man who'd ruled multiple divisions, one of the highest paid fighters in history. Everyone thought Crawford was crazy. He was moving up 2 weight classes to 168, fighting a naturally bigger, stronger opponent. But on September 14th, 2025, in front of a global audience, Crawford pulled it off. He beat Canelo by unanimous decision, becoming the undisputed super middleweight champion. That win put him in history books as the first male fighter in the 4-belt era to become undisputed champion in 3 different weight classes. That's a record that may never be touched again. Now let's talk about the money. Crawford's net worth today is estimated between $20 and $30 million. He's not as flashy as Floyd Mayweather, but his earnings are stacked. Some of his biggest paydays: 6 million versus Sean Porter, 5.5 million versus Amir Khan, 5 million versus David Avanesian, 25 million versus Errol Spence Jr., and 10 million guaranteed against Canelo. That Canelo fight could have been worth even more with pay-per-view bonuses. But here's the twist. Crawford isn't obsessed with money. In his own words, the Canelo fight wasn't about the bag, it was about legacy. He's smart, though. He invests. He runs B&B Boxing Academy in Omaha, a nonprofit that trains kids from age 6 to 18. He's teaching the next generation discipline and giving back to the community that raised him. He also runs the Bud Crawford shop, where fans can grab his merch. On the sponsorship side, he's partnered with Prime Hydration, yeah, the Logan Paul and KSI drink, along with Everlast, Balco, Billionaire Boys Club, and Snack Nutrition. Crawford may not flaunt his money on Instagram, but make no mistake, he's building wealth the quiet way. Outside the ring, Crawford is a family man. He's been with his longtime girlfriend, Alindra Person, since the early 2000s. Together, they have 6 kids, 3 sons, 2 daughters, and 1 stepdaughter from Alindra's previous relationship. Their family is often spotted ringside, and Alindra's always been in his corner through the highs and lows. But here's where things get messy. Recently, Crawford admitted in an interview with Shannon Sharpe that he fathered a 7th child with another woman. That revelation sparked controversy, especially since Alindra has been by his side for so long. Fans started questioning, how does that affect his family life, his legacy, and even his mindset as a fighter? Crawford isn't a stranger to controversy. Besides the family drama, critics have accused him of being too quiet and avoiding big fights earlier in his career. He spent years with top-ranked promotions, and many say he was protected, fighting lesser-known opponents instead of facing big names at welterweight. Crawford has clapped back at that, saying he was never ducking anyone. Promoters just made fights complicated. Then there's the retirement debate. At 37, with nothing left to prove, should Crawford hang up the gloves? Fighters like Shakur Stevenson, who looks up to Bud, have said straight up, I think he should retire now while he's on top. But if you know Crawford, you know he doesn't let anyone dictate his story. What makes Bud Crawford so special? He's a switch hitter, meaning he can fight orthodox or southpaw at the highest level. He's patient, calculating, with insane counterpunching ability. His timing makes opponents look amateur. In 42 fights, no judge has ever scored against him. He's never been knocked down. Think about that, all right. 42 fights, 3 divisions, undefeated, undisputed 3 times. That's legendary. And now, the big question, what's next? Does Crawford chase another division? Does he defend his titles at 168? Or does he finally retire as one of the most accomplished fighters in history? Terence "Bud" Crawford's story is about grit, discipline, and legacy. From Omaha to the world stage, he's proven that greatness doesn't come from flash. It comes from consistency. But every fighter has an end. So I want to ask you, do you think Crawford should keep fighting? Maybe even chase a 4th undisputed title at middleweight? Or should he call it quits now, undefeated, at the absolute peak of his career? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because Crawford's story isn't just about him. It's about what kind of legacy we value most in boxing. This is Terence "Bud" Crawford, the man who conquered divisions, silenced doubters, and left the boxing world asking, who's next?